So how have I been balancing this alongside this as I prep for a double extreme Ironman distance triathlon? Well, let's find out. Hello everyone and welcome to another video and to the last episode of my prep for the double brutal extreme triathlon. If you've been following along, for those that don't know, I'm currently training for a 7.6 kilometer swim, a 360 kilometer bike ride and an 84.4 kilometer run, better known as a really bad time. I appreciate what I haven't done much of this training prep is actually document any of the lifting I've been doing. So I've been in full maintenance mode, just clinging on to what I can, stripped sessions back to 3 a week rather than the normal 4 a week. And today I'm going to get under a barbell and see how much bench press strength I have held on to. And then once we've got this session out of the way, I'll break down a little bit more about how I've been approaching weight training as part of this prep with such high endurance volume, and ultimately a few things you can take away to better manage your weight training around any endurance or any cardiovascular work. Before we go any further, I have a couple of housekeeping requests from you. So first of all, if at any stage you do enjoy the video, do please drop it a like. Make sure that you comment down below with your thoughts, feelings, suggestions, or rinsing me about the arch in my bench press, and do please make sure that you have hit subscribe. As well as that, do check out the podcast, The Modern Mind, link in the description at the bottom as well for the YouTube channel and the audio options. And then if at any stage you're interested in any hybrid training from myself and Johnny and using all the principles and methodology that underpin my own training, then head to Omnia Performance. That is the logo there. That is the name of the brand. So really, I think this is probably a bit futile. But nonetheless, I'm going to crack on with an upper body session, take you through it, and then we'll sit down and I'll talk you through a little bit more about exactly how I've been balancing weight training alongside high volume endurance work. Okay, so 120 loaded. I've not really gone much heavier than this prep, as I've just been doing a lot of rep work, keeping everything smooth, fast, focused, and everything's feeling pretty good thus far on these warm-ups. This is going to be my last heavy lifting before the double brutal, which is 13 days away now. So, will he bench 3 plates, 3 biscuits, 3 wheels? Stick around and find out, eh? Another 5 and a biscuit, or as we call them in the UK, a digestive. And normally we do, yes indeed, wash it down with a cup of tea, darling. Anyway, 132.5 kilos on the bar. I'm going to put the safety bars on in case I die. Was disappointingly slow. So let's make a deal, why don't we? If I get this rep, you shop Gymshark with my link in the description down below, as it does myself and the channel a big solid, and you get yourself some sexy stash like this, so win-win. If I fail, because I'm gonna give it a go, I think it was Marcus Aurelius that said, YOLO swag, you instead shop Vivo Barefoot with the code Fergus10 to save yourself 10% off, as it also does myself and the channel a solid, and you get yourself some fantastic gym footwear. So we're all winners here. Let's hope the only loser is 140 kilos on the bar.
I just made Gymshark millions.
Okay, I am pleased with that. 3 plates, and yes, we can all agree it was a little bit touch and go, and that is indeed a powerlifting pun, if you're picking up what I'm putting down onto my chest without a pause. Get what I mean? I'm going to scale this back to 125 for 3 sets of 3, which is about 89%, and just try and make the move as smoothly as possible. Then I'm going to do minimal assistance work because today kickstarts my taper right down into the double brutal extreme triathlon. So I'll film a few more bits of this, but it is getting quite late on in the day. So what I'm going to do is crack on with this so my training is not interfered with, and that my evening is not interfered with, and that Erin, who is behind the camera because Campbell is selfishly looking after his child this evening, can put the camera down and stop snarling at me from behind the camera. So everybody comment, thank you Erin, you're a saint, in the comments below, and I will reply with all the reasons why she is not. So we'll film a little bit more of this, but I'm going to crack on with some back off sets. Pleased with that, and we will debrief on exactly how we can balance strength and endurance concurrently as hybrid athletes very soon. Not quite as smooth as I was hoping. And for those of you that might be wondering, all this wonderful kit is from Black Box, and if you're interested in any of the process or design or build of this home gym, then head to part 1 here, part 2 there, and part 3 here, as well as a 1 year on review asking the question, do I regret the investment, the space, and everything else that goes on with having a home gym? Okay, so we've gone bench press 140 for 1, 125 for 3x3, moved on to flat dumbbell press supersetted with dumbbell seal rows on the pivot, which is arguably one of Black Box's greatest inventions to date, magnifique. So 40 kilos on the flat dumbbells, 35s on the dumbbell seal row, supersetting those, 3 sets of 12. Then I'm gonna move on to some hammer curls and some cable press downs just for the bants. Beach body, bra, summer's coming to an end, all that stuff, you know, wearing a tank top on YouTube for the first time in a while. Gotta look swole, is the goal. Good old fashioned, what was his name? The no rose, no hose guy. Chris someone. Good old OG YouTuber. Chris Jones, that was it.
Rose for the hose.
What a guy. Wonder what he's doing. Anyway, thought I'd touch on something I mentioned earlier on when I said I'd gone into maintenance mode on lifting. That's not necessarily entirely true, as I definitely have done on lower body stuff, but upper body stuff I've been working quite hard because a lot of the volume has been very lower dominant, lower biased, so there's not really much room for top end strength work. Volume is, it just made me feel terrible. Lower back was killing me. My quads couldn't take it when it came to putting out power on the bike. Whereas upper body stuff, I've been managing to work in alongside 3 swims a week, which has been great. So I've been working really quite hard on the upper stuff. 2 upper body sessions and 1 full body session has been the brief up until now. Tomorrow, I'm gonna do a lower body session, which I'll take you through as well. And if you've been around here a while, you should know what a sort of 180 kilo squat, 200 kilo squat should look like. So I've taken a bit of a hit in the lower body. My quads are about 1 inch less circumference-ish than they were before. My arse is a little bit less plump, which means jeans can now fit me, which is good, but nonetheless, definitely been a lower body loss as part of this prep, but upper body I've managed to hold on to quite well, which I'm very, very pleased with. So given I've been doing sets of 5 and sets of 3 max with my bench pressing, very happy that 140 moved the way it did today. Okay, and job done. I'm gonna grab myself some food, get in the shower, finish season 6 of Peaky Blinders for those of you that have been paying attention to my viewing patterns over the past several videos, and then head to bed. And then I will see you in the morning bright and early for a probably somewhat disappointing lower body session. But nonetheless, I say again, I'm pleased with how today's gone. I'm pleased with the way my body has recompositioned itself for the demands that I have put upon it. And I'm probably rambling at this point. I'll see you in the morning. Goodbye. Good morning, everyone. It is just coming up to 7 AM on Tuesday, and I We're about to crack on with some back squats. First back squats in a while. I haven't been done at a really low percentage, as I've been doing most of my work on this thing here, which is the safety squat bar, just to take a little bit of stress off my lower back, allow a little bit more upper back dominant upright positioning, etc, etc, just because low bar is quite a demanding movement. But given I'm just going to work up to a sort of heavy single or double today, RPE 8, maybe 9, let's see what happens. Isn't this fun? Probably not going to be as exciting as yesterday was. As I said, I've been very upper body dominant with this training prep. Lower body has taken a hit, but it's a new day, which means new Vivos, new Gymshark kit, same rules apply. Please do shop with the links in the description down below. All I'm having before I'm going to crack on with some training is a scoop of Human 24 Rise, which has 125 milligrams naturally occurring caffeine, nootropics and electrolytes. Ingredients on the screen for you here, and it's just a fantastic way for you to win your morning, feel like this guy from this film without any of the slow and rather painful looking death that comes with it for the other people that were abusing the drug in that film that probably isn't recommended. So maybe it's not the best analogy, but this is very good. I'd give this a go. Fergus 10 for 10% off. Everything's actually feeling pretty good at this point. I'm not getting that, oh no, feeling in my lower back that I normally do. I can always tell at 140 whether it's going to be a good day or a bad day. And if I was to put money on it, I'd say today's going to be a good day. Okay, so plan from this point is I'm just going to keep warming up until I hit a sort of RPE 8, maybe 9 single, just try and make it smooth, feel not like I'm about to die, but not like I'm having an easy morning, you know what I mean? Know what I mean? That sweet spot, yeah? Then I'm going to do some back off triples, about 90% of what I hit for a single, might go just below 90% depending on how the single feels, whether it is an RPE 8 or 9, and then a few, I need my inhaler after doing some squats, that's heavy, embarrassing, but I'll go get my inhaler so I can talk to you without sounding like I'm the kid with glasses in any US sitcom ever. Hit this 160 for a single and then decide where I'm going from there. You might not like it, but these are the ideal length for shorts in a man. Okay, so 180 kilos boxed off. I'd say that was an RPE 8, as it moved really well, which I'm pleased with. Little bit high, maybe, but that's just because I'm out of practice with low bar. You can probably tell I was really controlling my eccentric, which felt great, but just means I'm lacking that sort of confidence to drop into the hole and get that stretch reflex. But nonetheless, here we are, 180 done, so pleased with that. Gonna back off and do 3 sets of 3 at 160 just to keep things moving. Ultimately, the purpose of this heavy lifting 2 weeks before the double is just to really neurologically ramp up my strength demand, so that whilst things really scale back down into the double brutal, recovery from the double brutal is going to be quite long and demanding. So this is seeing where my strength is at beforehand, giving it a little bit of a spike in terms of demand before it really sort of scales back down, so that I can then rebuild from a certain position. But as well as that, it's a little bit of fun, and I haven't filmed much lifting for you guys, so I thought, you know what, why not load up the bar and see where we're at. So I'm going to do some back off sets and catch up with you very soon.
Let's do this. Leroy Jenkins.
For the second time in this video, I'm going to use the stoic phrase of YOLO swag, as that was closing in on RP 9.5 and was a little bit surplus to the brief. So it seems you can put the meathead on a bike, you can put him in some running shoes, but nonetheless, the meathead remains, as it seems there's no part of me that just can't load up the bar and hope for the best. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. Any of my athletes that I look after with Omnia just do as I say, not as I do in this case. Yeah? Cheers. Nice one. Anyway, I'm going to stick with my back offsets at 160, so make him some speedy triples, and that is ultimately going to be the last heavy lifting that I do before the double, as we're not that far out now. So I'll B-roll the rest of this session, and then we will catch up and touch base on how I've been approaching things, how you can approach things, and what to do next. And where to go if you'd like some much more detailed information from Johnny and I, and how you can really map out your approach to hybrid training. And that is it. That is lifting done, other than some pump work until the double brutal. I never actually went and got my inhaler, by the way. Hashtag wheeze, wheeze, wheeze. Anyway, amidst the desire to make some silly jokes around my 200 kilo squat earlier, I'm actually very, very pleased with how the past couple of days gone. Everything's held on to really nicely, and it does just go to show how much less volume is needed to maintain strength than is to build it. Lots of really exciting research coming out on that, reinforcing that, and ultimately when I talk about priorities, shelving things, scaling things up, etc., it's remarkable how much strength you can hold on to with adequate volume, execution, programming around it. And yeah, very exciting to me that while some of the movements felt a little bit alien, the strength was still there. So you take a seat, I'll take a seat, and we'll go through things in more detail. Okay, so I'm going to break down 4 key considerations when it comes to balancing strength and endurance training. But rather than redoing what I've done in the past, allow me to first and foremost point you in the direction of part 1, part 2, part 3 and part 4, which are all compiled in a playlist for you as about 80 to 90 minutes of death by detail, breakdown, and a little bit of waffle, because you know Johnny and I, on how you can balance strength and endurance training in 4 parts with some clear takeaways for you to all unpack as you go. So I'm going to be quite concise with these 4 points, but if you do want more detail, then please do head to those videos there. Okay, so point number 1 is going to be on nutrition, where a lot of people get it wrong. Not going to go into death by detail on this one either, as in this video here, we take you through it step by step in the form of a presentation so that you can exactly ascertain what your guidelines, parameters, and figures are, so that you can enter a game of trial and error to figure out what works best for you. This is very, very detailed, and you can go through it bit by bit. Today, I'm just going to give you the basics. So the basics are pretty simple in reality, whereby your daily baseline, if you were just weight training, is going to be elevated when you account for endurance volume. Where most people get it wrong is they don't account for this increase in calorie expenditure, which means that they don't eat that back, which then means that they're inadvertently putting themselves in a huge deficit. This is obviously going to inhibit your muscle mass, your strength adaptation potential, and it's going to steadily weigh you down over time in terms of recovery, because you're operating below maintenance.
So what we need to do with the increase in endurance volume is bring maintenance back up to that. So what I recommend in that video is that you establish your daily baseline from lifting, your step count, and any other activity that can be considered on a week-by-week basis, and then you eat back what you burn from your endurance volume. Therefore, balancing the books, and meaning that whether you want to be in a maintenance or whether you want to be in a bit of a surplus or in a small deficit, you can rework your figures accordingly so that you're not falling into the trap that a lot of people do, which is inadvertently putting yourself into a huge deficit and having cardio kill your gains. Okay, so point number 2 is on priorities. And as I've discussed in this video already, I've had to make a few sacrifices along the way during this prep. To break it down in simple terms, I've abandoned deadlifts, I've scaled back squat volume, and I've really over-indexed on upper body volume alongside the increase in endurance demand. How this has panned out means I've held on to my upper body strength, deadlift unknown, and through working on different squat variations and weak point training, I've gone full Louis Simmons and conjugate and actually held on to a fair amount of low bar squat strength. But I haven't been doing much low bar squatting because it takes so much from me in terms of fatigue and isn't that sport specific as it stands. So I've lost about 20 kilos on my squat, my bench has more or less stayed the same, and I don't know what my deadlift is. So those are sacrifices that I knew I was making because I mapped out the priorities, which was increase aerobic capacity and tolerance for volume, which meant that deadlifts were gone, low bar squatting on top end was gone, and my overall volume of weightlifting was gone. But given that most of the volume was on my lower body, rather than my upper body, I could keep my upper body lifting a little bit more focused. So you just need to be realistic about the goals that you're setting yourself. You need to accept first and foremost that as hybrid athletes, you can't do it all. You can't be best at everything you have in terms of potential at all times. You'll need to scale back, you'll need to shelve things, you'll need to push certain things forwards, but map that out in line with your goals, prioritize accordingly, and accept the peaks and troughs that will come with certain things, certain capacity as time goes on. Okay, so part number 3 is about consolidating stressors, and this is explained in much more detail in this video here, but the premise is simple. We want to consolidate stressors into the same sort of groupings so that we're only recovering from them once within the context of a week, and it allows us to better understand the relationship between intensity and volume within an individual. In this case, we're using myself as an example, but it means that all of my heavy lifting and hard effort bike riding, hard effort swimming, hard effort running has been earlier in the week, consolidated together. And then as the week's unfolded, it's become more tempo stuff, more strength and endurance stuff, and then it's become pure zone 2. And that allows us to better monitor how I'm recovering and how I'm adapting to the intensity side of things, and then understand the relationship between that and the tempo stuff and the volume. But it also means that I can basically invert volume and intensity and the week goes on so that I can make adaptations to programming and adjustments where needed around recovery with a better understanding of what is causing what, why am I feeling a certain way, where can I push harder, where can I scale back, can I tolerate more endurance volume, do I need to scale back on the intensity side of things. Ultimately, by consolidating these stressors, we can better understand how to program for ourselves as individuals. But again, if you want more detail on that, head to this video here. Okay, so the fourth and final point is that less could well be more, as there's a bit of a misconception when it comes to endurance training that you just need to constantly be building endurance capacity to the point where you're mimicking what you're doing on race day, but ultimately that becomes untenable because we're overspilling our maximum recoverable volume week on week and overstretching the adaptation that we're looking for to be able to ultimately build psychological confidence for the race ahead. So you don't do an Ironman in preparation for doing an Ironman unless specific conditions mean that that might be a wise thing to do, but you want to be able to execute the individual components of an Ironman and then taper into it so that you can put them together on race day. If you were just doing an Ironman every weekend in preparation for an Ironman, you'd fail to adapt because you'd never be able to recover and allow that fitness to sort of reveal itself. So the mistake that we often see when people try to balance strength and endurance training is that they take 100% of a strength training program, 100% of an endurance training program, and go like that. And that, my friends, is 200%, which is above what we as human beings can tolerate and adapt to. So that's where scaling back on certain things, understanding priorities, understanding that we need to balance our nutrition, and better understanding how we can consolidate the stresses of these individual programs will allow us to find what works best for us to get the best out of our strength training alongside the best out of our endurance training and adapt accordingly. So the sad reality is I can't say exactly what the best way to do this is, but there are a few things that you can consider in the context of trial and error to play around with what you respond well to, what you don't respond well to. But what I'd encourage you all not to do is take 100% of a strength program, 100% of an endurance program, and go like that, because that is you overspilling your maximum recoverable volume and you are doing more rather than less, and therefore actually inhibiting your adaptation rather than helping it. So I've done my best to keep that as concise as I can whilst pointing you in the direction of some more detailed resources that I've provided over the years. If you do have any questions, please do drop them in the comments down below and I will do my best to get back to them in detail. But I hope that gives you a bit of an overview of how I've been managing my training from a weightlifting perspective alongside training for the double extreme brutal triathlon. So that's that. As it stands, when this video goes live, I will still be doing the double, which is a pretty harrowing thought to say out loud at this point, I must admit. But can you please do me a favor and drop some supportive comments down below? If you do follow me on Instagram or you're staying up to date on the tracker, knowing that I'm still going, please do drop some supportive comments down below, as at this point, I think I will be in need of them. And if somebody's going to hand me my phone and say, oh, Big Kev 5703 has said, nice work, Fergus, keep cracking on, that might just be the boost in here that I need to see it through to the finish. So thank you all for your support throughout this prep. You've all been legends. I really do appreciate all of the support. Ultimately, whatever happens, this process has been challenging. I'm better off for it, and hopefully there's some insights that you've been able to take away from it. I look forward to reading your comments, hopefully. If you decide to support in such a way, it would be very, very cool if you did. And other than that, I do hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed this prep, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Make sure to like the video, make sure that you've hit subscribe down below, and drop your comments with your thoughts, feelings, suggestions, words of support, or anything else that you feel is worthy of wasting your finger energy on. Anyway, goodbye, and I will see you next time.